Hello everybody, this is Brooke aka Supernatural Summer 34 and today we are back at it with another speed build. Today's speed build is for a very special sim and she's my not so berry sim, Marilyn Minthe Berry. Marilyn is pregnant right now, which you definitely know if you watched the last episode, so go do that after you finish this. But yeah, our minty little sim is pregnant with her first child and I am so excited. I need names for the baby, and I didn't mention it in the actual episode, so I'm saying it here, but leave names for me in the comments. Boy or girl or gender neutral, it's all good, but make sure it begins with an R. Some examples are like Rhonda, Rachel, Riley, Robert, just like any cute little baby names you think I would like, so long as they begin with an R. But obviously with Marilyn's expanding family, she needs a bigger house than her little apartment on top of that bar, so I built this house. I actually tried my hand at building another Victorian home for Marilyn, but I feel like I never quite get them right, and that one was all wrong. I do love this house, but it doesn't look quite Victorian enough for me, which is slightly annoying because I basically copied the reference picture I was looking at, aside from the color scheme. It's not that the house is bad, it's that it didn't turn out exactly how I pictured it. I feel like Victorian houses are always taller than they are wide, and that's not the case with this house. I just don't like tall houses. They bother me for some reason, but it could be because I'd have to switch between 3 floors instead of 2. But houses with basements don't bother me, so I don't think that's the case. I didn't give this house a basement, by the way. I entertained the idea for a little while, not on camera, but just while thinking about the build, and I decided I didn't really want one because I had a hard enough time finding the perfect area for the stairs. It may not look like it in the video because it's super sped up, but I was getting stressed about where to put them. They ended up in the dining room in this little nook, and I think it works out really well. It makes the room a little smaller, which is nice because I'm not super great at decorating big rooms. I think that's why I always go for smaller houses and closed off floor plans, which my sister hates. Sometimes she'll watch me build and I get yelled at a lot. She's a huge fan of modern architecture, whereas I'm more into traditional and cozy looking places. But this build has a ridiculous amount of octagonal turrets. I think that's what you'd call them, but they're essentially places for window seats, so I think you get what I mean. Anyway, it has 5 of them, 4 on the first floor and 1 on the second. It probably would have been more, but I don't tend to bring the turrets up to the second floor because the roofing can get a little weird with them. But I have 1 in the dining room, 1 in the kitchen, 1 in the living room, 1 in the gaming room, and then the last one ends up in the toddler bedroom. I wasn't really sure how to decorate the kids' rooms, by the way, but I didn't want to upload this build without them decorated. I'll probably alter them a bit so that they suit the personalities of her kids a bit more. I know I'll be having more than 3 kids, though, so some of them will definitely end up sharing a bedroom. I'm thinking about having 5 or 6 kids and maybe a clone, even though I don't really know who I would clone. Last time I played, I cloned her firstborn son, but I don't know that I'm going to clone a kid again this time. Actually, here's an idea. Maybe the heir could be the clone? I could clone one of my daughters, and then her clone will be my heir? Let me know what you think of that idea in the description. But here we're moving on to the floor plan, which comes together pretty quickly because it's actually a pretty big house. It's a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath. Well, actually, I'm pretty sure it could be considered a 3-bathroom house because the upstairs communal bathroom has a tub and a shower tub combo. Anyway, ignoring the semantics of that, I also fit a little gaming room where they can play cards, as well as an office for Marilyn and Ryden to work together. That's the only area of the house where I added like red, by the way, because I decorate the kids' rooms pink because it's a lot less overbearing, but I happen to have the office area, and Marilyn and Ryden each get their own little desk and all that. I did a really interesting thing with this house, by the way, where it's just like covered in accent walls. I went for a pretty old-fashioned wallpaper with paneling on a lot of the areas, but I also added some mint-colored paint, or in the cases of the kids' bedrooms, some dusty pink paint. And then there's also brick in some areas, most notably around the fireplaces and the staircase. I also did this little thing with the fireplaces where I made them their own little room using that flat fencing. And I don't know if that'll hinder the fire from spreading, but if it does, that'd be really cool. But it takes me a really long time to get that sorted out because I wanted a good balance between the wallpaper, the paint, and the brick. I used the Realm of Magic wallpaper on most of the house, and let me just say that the wallpaper is absolutely beautiful. And then in the kids' rooms, I use a base game wallpaper that I've actually always loved and used to use all the time. And finally, in the master bedroom, I use the Paranormal Stuff Pack wallpaper, and that's really pretty. I didn't use the teal color though because I wanted the mint wallpaper to really pop, and it wouldn't have done that had I used the teal from the Paranormal Stuff Pack. And this was originally going to be a 5-bedroom house, but I realized that I didn't have nearly enough bathrooms because, believe it or not, about half the time I've been taking care of my Sims. But I really love the big bathroom because it's really pretty. You'll see a pretty good picture of it during the screenshots, which I'm quite proud of because I usually suck at taking pictures of the bathrooms, just because they're usually so small, so it's usually just the top of a toilet and part of the sink. I think I actually ended up not including the screenshot I took of the downstairs bathroom because it was just those two things, but it's essentially the same as the other bathrooms, but mini. But during this build, I actually do quite a bit of the outdoors before the furnishing, and I do the porch before I do any of the furnishing, if I'm remembering correctly. The landscaping is pretty on par with what I usually do, but I'm just predictable like that. One thing I hate about The Sims, though, is that the bushes always show through the fences, so you kind of have to have them kind of far away from them unless you want bushes on both sides. This isn't true for all fences, but it definitely is for most. But one thing I need to mention is that while I was filming episode 6 of Not So Berry, we moved into this house and I discovered that the upstairs is inaccessible because of this glitch that we got after, I think it was Snowy Escape. I really thought they would have fixed that by now, but the glitch is that you can't have the stairs be in their own room, meaning you can't have the landing area that looks onto the first story. I'm not explaining this very well. You know how when you place down the configurable stairs, it kind of makes a weird shape on the second story for the area cut out for the stairs? I'm still not explaining this well. Jesus Christ. What I mean to say is that when you delete the floor next to the stairs, and in order to do this, you have to make the stairs in their own room, so when you do that, it makes the upper story inaccessible. I think that makes sense. I really hope y'all understand what I mean, but just know that it will be fixed when you try to download it off the gallery. I haven't actually done it yet, but I'll kick myself if I forget. But I'm not entirely sure what to talk about during this speed build because it's a really long one. I mean, I suppose some people wouldn't consider it long, but I don't tend to have videos longer than 15 minutes unless it's a Let's Play, and even then sometimes those episodes end up really short. But right now we're just doing some landscaping, which I think really adds some vibrancy to the place because the outside is pretty muted when it comes to colors. A lot of white and mint, but the purple plants really stand out. In my game, it's currently winter, so I can't really appreciate how pretty I think the landscaping is, but I can't wait until it is bright and summery in my game. I'm tired of winter in real life. I'm tired of winter in my game. I think I started my Not So Berry save in autumn for some reason, even though I probably should have done spring, because I think it's been pretty icky outside in the challenge so far. I think we might actually finish Mint Gen before summer in-game, just because I only need, I think, 1 more level in Logic, 3 in Mischief, 2 more, little goal, the little assignments in the aspiration, as well as 4 more promotions. We already completed the Elements collection. Hopefully you saw that video. Which, it's going by so quickly, which I'm both really excited about and also kind of upset about. I'm excited because I know a lot of people have been going at the challenge for 3 years and only just finished it. And I don't think I'd ever want to take an average of oh gosh, math. Okay, so 3 times 12, which is 6 plus 30, so 36, divided by 10, which is about 3.5 months per generation. Yeah, no, I'd rather not. I'd like for each generation to take about a month or 2 months, and we've been going at Not So Berry for 3 weeks, maybe. I'm bad with time. But the reason I'm also kind of upset that it's going by so quickly is because I really want to get to know my heirs and the family and all that. I want to have favorites. I want to have people that I love. And I feel like if Mint Gen only ends up being like 10 episodes, I might not spend as much time with her as I'd like. I won't have as many memories with her. But we finally moved on to the interior of the build, and I do the living room first. It's kind of an awkward shape for a living room, but I think it turns out really cute. I was also able to put a coffee table, which is usually something I can't fit in my living rooms for some reason. I really love how they look though, because every time I manage to put one in, I imagine a little kid kneeling in front of it and coloring while the TV plays a kids channel, and like the mom or dad is folding laundry. You want to know something I wish they would add in the game, by the way? I wish they would add a feature where, depending on your Sim's traits, lifestyles, and age, it changes how they interact with certain objects. Like, if someone's a teen or a lazy Sim, they tend to slouch on the sofa, and if someone is a foodie, maybe when they cook, they'll lean down and, like, sniff the food, a really happy expression on their face. And, like, if someone's a snob or proper, they'll eat really primly and will always sit down to do so, and when they do sit down, they look really stiff. Whereas the rest of the Sims might put their elbows on the table, or tip their chair back, or rest their chin on their hand. That's my biggest problem with how The Sims and The Sims 4, like, look and move, is that they're always stiff, like robots. There's no personality with how they do things. I think The Sims 4 tried to add something like that when they added all of the spinning and the flipping and the stuff like that to the cooking, but even then that depends on their skills and not their traits and all that. Kawaii Stacy tried to add something like that with the Slice of Life mod, where Sims have these idle animations depending on their traits, but it's not quite as realistic as I would have liked. And another thing like that, I wish it would change how certain interactions between Sims look. Like, if a Sim is romantic, their passionate kiss involves the whole dipping thing, but if they're a loner, they might kind of loop their arms around the other Sim's neck and, like, stare into their eyes, maybe an unsure expression on their face, before the other person, like, maybe nods and they move towards them slowly and kiss them. I know it would require a lot of effort from the Sims team, but it's little things like that that would make the game for me. I feel like a self-assured Sim's first kiss with someone shouldn't involve the whole, like, hesitantly kisses them and then pulls away, like, unsure. I feel like a self-assured Sim wouldn't have their first kiss like that. A self-assured Sim would pull the other Sim to them by the waist and kiss them. I don't feel like I'm being unreasonable here, and if things like that were a thing, storytelling would be a lot easier, and you wouldn't have to download so many poses. Like, I'm not a storyteller myself, but the amount of effort that those guys have to put into those is incredible. I envy their dedication. But we're currently on to the dining room, and this room has the only bay window. Well, I don't think it's technically a bay window. It might be, but the only bay window without a bay window seat. It also has a fireplace, and I really love not having the wallpaper behind the fireplace and the stone for the floor, just because I feel like that's how it'd be in real life. I mean, I guess in my house we do have carpet right in front of one of our fireplaces, but the fireplace isn't as close to the ground. It about goes up to my mid-calf. But here we move on to the office, and I decided to give Ryden and Marilyn each their own desk because I feel like they both have a need for one. Ryden is an astronomer, which is a custom career that I downloaded recently. I actually downloaded a bunch of custom careers and traits because I was getting kind of bored of a lot of the ones in base game and packs. I'm thinking about getting rid of the custom traits because maybe someone who downloads my sim won't have the trait, but then I remembered that I use CC, so it'd be a little ironic to get rid of it for that reason. I also contemplated downloading Build CC, but it's just weird to me. It feels weird to download Build CC. I had some when I first discovered CC in The Sims 4, but it never looked right. I feel like it's harder to make Build CC look like it belongs in the game than it is cast CC. Like, even in the new update where they gave us those things made by CC creators, the furniture doesn't look like something that belongs in the game. It looks too IKEA-like to belong in The Sims. It's too simplistic. Because if there's one thing the Sims team cannot do, it's make things simplistic. And personally, I like that I like that things aren't super simplistic. Basic furniture kind of bores me sometimes, so I like the fun colors and patterns. But here we move on to the entryway, where I did a little bit of a weird thing, where I added counter space right here. Your Sims might use the counters to cook, but if they do, just take one of the items on each of the counters and make it snap to it, because currently I've used move objects in order to place them freely. But in my re-upload of this house, it will have the elements collection included, as well as a few of Marilyn's inventions, just because I've already placed them down, and there'll also be plants in the planters that are in the backyard. But now we're on to the gaming room, which it isn't really much of a gaming room. It has a card table, and that's about it, but I don't really know what else to label it. It's also the back entrance to the house, so it was kind of not going to be much of a useful room if I hadn't placed the gaming table down. I mean, I suppose I could have made it a smallish dining or living room, but living and dining rooms aren't really something I use a lot in the first place, so I don't necessarily need two of them. My Sims like to hang out in like their offices, the kitchen, and hallways for some reason, even though it's super hard to get good screenshots in hallways, which is infuriating. But it's even harder to get screenshots in bathrooms, which is what I am currently decorating. This house has 3 bathrooms. One of them is an ensuite, then there's the downstairs half bath, and then there's the upstairs big bathroom. I only include screenshots of 2 of them just because the downstairs bathroom is so small. I feel like most people don't really do as small of bathrooms as me. Like, one person comes to mind, and that's Vixella. During her old speed build phase, I noticed that she had really big bathrooms, and that's honestly the dream, right? I would love to have a bathroom big enough where I can fit a love seat or a jacuzzi tub. But in my re-upload, some things will be changed. Like, I replaced one of the bookshelves downstairs with a cat tree, and I cram a litter box into the gaming room, I think, and then I rearranged the bathrooms a little bit in order to fit a toddler potty. I always seem to forget toddler potties for some reason, and then I end up putting them in the toddler's bedroom, which is, like, frankly disgusting. I mean, it's less bad when the room doesn't have carpet, but if you're potty training your toddler on carpet, I feel very, very bad for you, and I'm also slightly worried about your critical thinking skills. But here we move on to the master bedroom, which is a lot larger than I anticipated. I added a closet in here because I try to include them in all of my builds. I didn't really know how to fill the space. I didn't want to place down a computer because there's the office downstairs, so I don't feel that we needed another one in the parents' bedroom. Instead, I placed down a vanity, even though I don't know that I'll ever actually use it, unless I have one of my kids play around with the makeup. But since the bedroom is so big, it actually takes forever to decorate, so we might be in this room for a while. But you might notice that I've been doing a lot better about clutter in this build. Usually I have a lot of furniture in my build, but I don't add a whole ton of personalized clutter. But instead, in this build, I added a lot of clutter. And I'm using the word clutter a lot. Oh, and by the way, this is my first time using the Jungle Adventure flooring, and before I never really understood why everyone liked it so much, but this swatch is absolutely stunning. It's so pretty and detailed, and that wood color is gorgeous. I don't even know how to describe that precise shade of brown, but it's gotta be my favorite brown, if that's really a thing. I don't know that I've ever thought of brown as a color I could have a favorite of, because it's kind of it's not a good one. But anyway, eventually we move on to the kids' rooms. Not right now, but eventually we do move on to those. And I wanted to mention that I definitely didn't decorate these rooms based off of the kids' personalities, considering we currently only have one who is a toddler. I don't know if I'll be releasing the speed build before the episode releases, but I wanted to mention that no one was in stream when they were born. And also in the last video I mentioned where I needed baby names, it had that hadn't come out yet, so I ended up looking at baby names by myself, but we will definitely be having more kids, so I will need more names, so be sure to leave them in the comment sections of the episodes. I mean, you don't have to leave them in the comment section of the actual episodes, but that would be helpful in order for me to keep track of them. I feel like you'd have a bigger chance of actually getting the name in the as a baby name if you put it in the actual episode. But we're almost done with the master bedroom, and then we move on to the, well, I don't know that it's called a landing area, but it's similar to a landing area. I'm not too familiar with house terms, but the room I am talking about is the room that has the stairs in it. It's pretty simply decorated just because there isn't really much to these kinds of rooms. It's just a couple of plants, mirrors, pictures, and a small seating area that serves no purpose whatsoever. I've seen those in real life too, and I wonder if anyone actually uses them. Like, does anyone just sit in the chairs in the hallway? That seems like a weird place to just sit and read a book to me. But here we move on to the first kid's room, which is the toddler bedroom, which I don't know why it's the toddler bedroom. It's the biggest kid's room and the only one with one bed. I think I just really like the idea of the toddler bedroom having a bay window seat. I guess, can you nap on bay window seats, by the way? Like, I feel like I've never seen a sim nap on one, but honestly, that's such an ideal place to nap, only during the day, but especially if the windows are open. It isn't quite warm enough where I am to sleep with the windows open, but during the day, my room smells like the outdoors, and I can hear birds chirping, and it's just really peaceful. Can you guys hear the birds when I record, though? I know sometimes you guys can hear my sister's guinea pigs smacking their water bottle against the wall, but can you hear the birds? I mean, I imagine you wouldn't mind hearing the birds in comparison to the thumping of her guinea pigs. But anyway, here I am searching for toys to place down, and I've actually decided I'm going to stop decorating with actual kids' toys because then the kids can pick them up and play with them, and that's not ideal, so instead I'm using statues, which honestly are way better than the actual toys, both in size and quality, despite the quantity being lower. But now we're moving on to the kids' room, which has 2 single beds. Technically, this house could fit 7 Sims because the master can fit 2, the toddler room can fit 1, this room can also fit 2, and so can the teenager bedroom. I decided to go for a pastel pink theme for all of the kids' rooms just because the red always looks very out there. That's not really the phrase I was looking for. It always looks kind of like bright, I guess. But I decided I'm going to go for pink decorations for the Rose generation, but I'm going to keep the hair and eyes and clothes red. With the actual pink generation, I'll probably go for like a hot pink instead of this pale pastel pink, and then it'll contrast better with the peach gen that comes right after it. But now we're moving on to the teens' room, which has 2 double beds. They're both pressed up against a wall, which tends to conserve space. My sister has a room that's a lot bigger than mine, but her bed isn't pressed up against a wall, so it looks really cramped, whereas my room has plenty of space to walk around. I don't have room for a dresser or a chair, though, which is kind of annoying because those were both things I wanted in my bedroom. But hopefully in 2 years I'll be able to move out on my own, and then I'll have like a studio apartment where nothing is cramped. It'll probably actually be a little bare because I can't really stretch the furniture I have in my current room across an entire apartment. Obviously I'll buy like a couch and stuff, but yeah. But we're almost on to the screenshots, which actually take up about 2 minutes of the video because there are 19 of them? I think in a couple of rooms I included 2 screenshots just because I couldn't get the entire room in one, or it was an awkward shape, but yeah. But I do think this house is so freaking pretty. Like that entryway, it looks so cluttered. And the living room, I love that shape for some reason, even though I've never done anything like it. And I also brought over the chairs from the old house into the gaming room just because I really like the cats and dogs mint furniture. I've also always either used the Parenthood or Jungle Adventure mint appliances and in my mint generation homes. I mean, I think I used to use the base game, like teal ones, because they wouldn't break and stuff, but now I know the appeal of aesthetic over function, and even then they don't really break often enough for me to complain. By the way, something that really bugs me about those appliances is that the stove is missing, I think, the purple swatch, and every time I try to use it in a purple home, I'm reminded that the matching swatch doesn't exist. And that's so annoying because we don't have like any purple appliances. I really think the game is lacking purple items. We need purple beds and purple appliances, purple wallpapers, and purple siding. I mean, this might just be me, but purple houses are really, really pretty, especially that like light lilac color. I'll probably redecorate the rooms as my kids grow up, by the way, so let me know if you'd want me to upload room builds onto the gallery of them, or even if you'd like for me to make them a video of their own. I wouldn't be opposed to that because those sound like short and easy videos, and I could really use some short and easy videos. I mean, this video took me a week to do the voiceover. But we are coming up on the end of the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below, and I will see you all soon.